Vlad the Dad, one of the OG vampires from the fall of Lamia. Dude's a badass, and he's a force of nature in SFO Grimhammer, where we'll be playing our battle today. Flanked by the accursed creatures of Sylvania and Bretonia, black grail knights, zombie dragons, and wights from a forgotten age, in the radiant light of the golden dildo of the gods. The Eagles are coming. And the Wood Elves just got a massive overhaul to their unit roster and campaign, so Aracrastic will command the Asrai as we show off a bunch of new units, heroes, and mechanics in the snowy tundra of Norska. Walking Dead and Tree Hippies on the Wildwood update for SFO Grimhammer 2. I am playing as the Von Karstein vampires, and Vlad is a monster in this mod, filled with preternatural vigor and speed. He runs as fast on foot as knights do on horseback, and his binding winds of blood imbue the battlefield with his control of Shaiish. Every undead unit on the field grants Vlad increased power reserves and map-wide bonuses to his army, while wins are above 50%. He has his Von Karstein ring, Blood Drinker, and Master of Beguilement for regen and fantastic dueling potential, and he'll be supported by a zombie dragon overhead, bearing a lethal poison contact effect and a swarm of flies to deal damage and lower melee attack in an AoE around them. Very powerful single entity. It's a zombie dragon. It's about what you'd expect. The elite undead cavalry today are Varix Reavers with great swords and the Black Grail Knights, the unholy veterans of Mousillon. They have regen, a discouraged contact effect, bonus versus large, and cause terror with only 12 models. Dragon damage output at a dragon price of 2,500 gold. Very powerful, but very expensive. Varix Black Knight Reavers are a bit different too. Instead of lances and barding, they're like undead questing knights, meant to chunk through armor, so they'll be a good option for cracking through tree units or forest dragon, while having some regen as well. And for Aracrastic and the newly reworked Wood Elves of Athelorn, Swift Shiver Shard Deepwood Scouts in the front ranks with a new legendary unit, the Heralds of Talon, King of the Eagles. They provide a powerful aerial force alongside that forest dragon. A lot of weapon damage, insane speed at 145. They will close in and they will murder you up in the air, especially when backed up by the forest spirits in the air as well. Now, this is a unit of my own suggestion. Talked to Vendors about adding them, and he obliged. These are the Glade Striders, light cav armed with Asrai spears and a healthy dose of armor piercing, which is an option they had on the tabletop that never got carried over to the main game. There's Sathan Har, Serpent of the Forest, and Shadow Dancers are a hero now. The legendary unit of them has been sent away, and she's a duelist with some additional utility from her dances, the Shadow's Coil, Whirling Death, and Shadow Illusion. And her illusion can actually deal damage as well, and cast her own ability, so she's got some additional utility that can be pretty useful when she's fighting it out in melee. Next to her is an ancient tree man of the Lore of Life, and a particular note, Flesh to Stone prevents models from dying while it's active, so you can keep your Dryads or Eternal Guard quite a bit more survivable when that's cast. And speaking of aspects of the tree units, Dryads can equip, they're kind of like dances or blessings of the Lizardmen in SFO Grimhammer. At the start of a battle, you can equip a certain aspect, whether that be birch, oak, or willow, and each of these have their own set of bonuses and malices that provide Dryads with a unique set of tools. Lets you customize them a bit, depending on which faction you're fighting. Now, as the battle gets underway, Swift Shiver Shards are not in a merciful mood. Their double-shot magic volleys are particularly damaging against low-armor zombies and skellies, and Arrow actually does need to shoot at them, because if he doesn't, they'll be able to shamble around and push those archers back and out of range of the actual important stuff. And they have a ton of HP, so it's definitely worth it to try to get a few volleys into them and make them start crumbling. And one great way to equalize these numbers a bit is get those armor-piercing Glade Riders into melee, do some cycle charging. They've got a lot of damage and 60 charge bonus. They are true glass cannons, a perfect fit for the Asrai roster, both from a lore and thematics perspective. And they exist on the tabletop too, so no reason not to add them. And they are going to do some serious damage in these opening charges with that 60 charge, with that high AP. So the Black Grail Knights and the Varix Reavers will have to wait in reserve, ready to receive their charge and try to block some of their aggression. Felbat's also waiting on the wings as Gaze of Nagash from Vlad von Karstein. Not a magic missile you see every day. Don't see magic missiles in the first place very often, but that will take out one of the Heralds of Talon and send her and her mount plummeting to the snows below. Blade Riders, again, getting some gorgeous charges into the Skeleton Spearmen, and the front ranks are getting destroyed by these Swift Shiver Shards. Actually turned my flank with those skeleton warriors a bit too much to get into position, and they got torn up, got fired into from the unshielded side, and immediately that unit is going to crumble. But so far, only been zombies and skeleton warriors are getting shot up, so not the biggest deal in the world. Want to make sure the Grave Guard and the Stearnsmen do not take all that focus fire. The Fell Bats and the Black Knights are the best way to make sure that does not happen. And the aerial fight is far from a foregone conclusion for either side. Fell Bats have high melee defense and a lot of models, so they're super annoying for these eagles to deal with. And more importantly, they provide a meat shield for the zombie dragon to get in unscathed, and together they will be more than a match for the great eagles. The question is, will the forest dragon be able to turn it? There's a lot of cavalry waiting in support. Few chomps into the Heralds of Talon should bring down quite a few of their number, and already down to half HP with the support from Vlad and the zombie dragon. This has not gone well for the Heralds so far, but they are hyper mobile, and if they have the mass to escape, they will be able to do so and get away pretty quick. And of course, Lore of Life is still on the field, so they're not out of it yet. Dwellers Below from the Ancient Tree Man. That is a spell you see very rarely in vanilla, and it will begin ripping and tearing in and amongst the various Reavers and lowering their HP by about half as the Glade Riders continue their aggression in that blob. 3 of them charging in. Earthblood going down will lower their melee attack a bit, but they're going to get a bunch of regen too. And the Forest Dragon got hit as well. Zombie Dragon will try to push back the tides of the Asrai on that side, but the hyper-mobile Light Cav for the Wood Elves will be able to escape without too many losses. Now, this is not a battle where the infantry fight is going to matter overly much. I'd say the speedy elements are going to be a lot more important to the success of both sides. Vampire counts have invested a lot more in their infantry. Shadow Dancer is going to try to turn that against the Stearnsman, and she's a pretty good melee combatant for sure. She's not going to be able to easily carve her way through an entire unit of Stearnsmen, especially when they have all that regen. With the Asrai Spear and the Dagger together, that dual combo will be pretty good for killing some models as the Heralds of Talon get a full surround off on the Zombie Dragon overhead, who no longer has the support of those Fell Bats. But those Eagles did take a tremendous amount of damage in that opening engagement, and so it looks like alongside that Swarm of Flies, which lowers melee attack by 8, and the DOT from Lethal Poison is going to be a strong enough combination to send the Eagle scurrying to a new roost. Zombie Dragon has dominated the skies thus far, but Swift Shiver Shards could put an end to that dominance extremely quickly if it's not careful. Vlad von Karstein, Vasha Nesh, slamming home into the flank of some Dryads, trying to break them on the left so the Undead can pour through the breach and into the Archers in the back, and that's where the win condition for the Undead resides, in eliminating those Archers before they're able to snipe out the Black Grail Knights, the Dragon Carcass, or Vlad himself. And answering that Forest Dragon is going to be a difficult proposition in and of itself. The Heralds of Talon have got a rear charge into the back of the Stearnsman alongside the Shadow Dancer. That combination with Flesh to Stone going down on the Dryads on the right flank, it might be strong enough to break through these Graveguard, and even though it looks like they're about to rout, it's a powerful combination. The Asrai infantry, although not much was invested into it, seems like it's holding admirably well against this undead tide. Ancient Tree Man just gleefully stomping on zombies. They're about to crumble out of existence, and the Glade Riders will make sure they do. Nice rear charge there. Heralds of Talon look to be on life support. Could shatter at any moment now, especially when the Zombie Dragon gets over here, gets another attack in. And you can see Aerocrest really wants that zombie carcass dead. That dragon dropping from the skies and no longer bothering him with the Swarm of Flies. He's been focus firing it for a while now. It's down to half HP, but there's plenty of healing that can still go its way. So Vlad needs to keep some Winds of Magic ready, because that Zombie Dragon is a linchpin of this build, will be required if you want to tear out stuff in the late game. Vlad's coming in now into melee with Blood Drinker. Zombie summons will help support, and together they will fight back to back, doing some Spartan kicks. This is Sylvania. Shadow Dancer wants no part of it, and the Eternal Guard have no shot at stopping the unbridled rage of Vlad the Dad. Dude, kick so hard your head will fly off. Various Reavers, I don't know where all that speed came from, but they just went Super Saiyan. They just went Kaioken, got into the middle of the Eternal Guard, and started to destroy them. They were pretty far away, took a volley, and then said, all right, I'm tired of this, got into charge range and closed that gap super fast. Knights of the Black Grail coming in to support, and it looks like they're massively outnumbered. And the Forest Dragons coming in too. The various Reavers are getting torn up by all the armor piercing, but the Knights of the Black Grail cause terror. The Glade Riders or Glade Striders, they have pretty low leadership, and they're beginning to break off, leaving that Forest Dragon isolated. Zombie Dragon and Vlad together should be able to goon out the Shadow Dancer. She has no help on this side whatsoever. The undead have pushed through, have broken the rest of the infantry. The Dryads are routing, and no man is an island, but that poor Shadow Dancer certainly is one. She has been forsaken by her brethren. Blade Guard going toe-to-toe in the middle of a cell with Grave Guard. I think we all know which guard will win that fight. Glade Riders coming down the mountainside. Vampires, are you ready to die? Invocation of the Heck, Overcast on top of the various Reavers and the Knights of the Black Grail. And I think the Eagles will avoid that fight. They realize they cannot save the Shadow Dancer at this point. Vlad von Karstein, Knights of the Black Grail, all the Vampire Elite are there. Instead, they'll go for the isolated Grave Guard over on this flank. Ancient Tree Man marching to war from Fangorn Forest with the help of the Asrai streaming down the hill. And they're getting some good charges into the elite Vampire Count's infantry. Shadow Dancer is somehow still alive, but she just lost her arm. That's a lot of damage. Somebody get the Flex Seal. Not sure that'll be enough to save it. She's dead. She's out of the fight for good. So, Knights of the Black Grail coming in with the flank, the Discourage Contact Effect, the Rear Charge, and the Terror in combination has a very good chance of sandwiching all the light cavalry for the Wood Elves, and it might just cause a mass rout. There it is. It's kicking in now. Zombie Summon, Vlad coming in, and the Zombie Dragon going after the Archers and the Eagles overhead. The Forest Dragon has been pretty much untouched the entire battle, and we might be looking at a Dance of Dragons as we start moving into the mid to late stages of this battle. Ancient Tree Man is surrounded. Zombie Dragon looking to Alpha Strike on top of the Tree Man. And together with Vlad, it might be enough to bring it down, but a big Soporific Breath coming in. Didn't actually hit the cavalry too much. Wasn't a great cast, but it got the cavalry moving. Makes it so they can't get that full surround off on the Tree Man. It's beginning to waver, which is surprising considering how much HP he has. Is that another Dwellers Below? Yes, indeed. One of the best blob punishing tools in SFO Grimhammer, and really gives some nice DPS to the Lore of Life, which it lacks in vanilla. And that'll tear through a whole horde of zombies and vampire cavalry, and various Reavers about to crumble. Zombie Dragon had to escape because the Swiftshooter Shards came into range and began focus firing him down. He's about a little bit less than half HP at the moment, and it looks like all of the cavalry for the Glade Riders have just shattered. They're out of the picture. And the Black Grail Knights, all 12 models of them are still alive, getting shot out by all those teal blue arrows, looking to get into the back line and shut them down for good. And Vlad now only has zombies and a skeleton crew of Grave Guard backing him up, at least in terms of infantry. His pet dragon, the one he used to rip Wallach Harkin in half at Heffingen, is playing puppy dog and rushing to his aid. Development, which Siphon Har, the Serpent of the Forest, is none too pleased with, but Arrow's doing a great job of focus firing on the dragon carcass. He used the majority of his ammunition. Deepwood Scouts have certainly paid for themselves and then some this battle, but the Knights of the Black Grail are on the hunt, and their lances will part Asrai flesh with unholy ease. There's nothing to stop their rampage while the Forest Dragon is tied down. Big pestilential breath raining down on the Glade Guard and what remains of the Asrai infantry. 3 units just shattered. He's landing, getting another duel, and there's been tons of wavering and crumbling on both sides. Game is dead even. Awakening of the Wood, just like my Saturday mornings. And we've got an important duel between the Ancient Tree Man, the Forest Dragon, the Zombie Dragon, and Vlad von Karstein. Everything else is second rate at this point. Doesn't really matter at the moment. It's all about whether we can kill the single entities or not. And I say that, the Knights of the Black Grail are still alive and still causing so much havoc in the rear, destroying these poor Deepwood Scouts and what remains of the Glade Guard, chopping heads left, right, and center. And this should be the end of the Asrai Archer contingent. But like I said, they've already made their cost back. They used almost all their ammunition. Be nice to have a few more shots in the late game. Doesn't look like they're gonna get that opportunity. Terror routes will send them scurrying to the edges of the map. But the zombie dragon is one hit from death. The ancient tree man is standing firm. Zombies coming in from Vlad von Karstein for the 5th time this game. A swing, a right haymaker from the ancient tree man. Looks like it might be enough to bring it down when the forest dragon comes in from the flank, and the carcass will fall. Silence. It's been a beast this game, but that's a big blow to the vampire counts and their chances. Now, their hopes of victory rest on the back of Vlad the Dad and the black barding of the Knights of the Black Grail. The forest dragon is on the hunt, trying to kill them when they're not able to link up with their legendary lord, and I have no idea who's going to win a fight like this one. Ancient Tree Man or Vlad von Karstein. The Ancient Tree Man is not the best melee combatant in terms of melee attack, but he's got these AoE attacks. He's great for clearing out all the zombies. Needs that Forest Dragon if he wants to take down the Lord, but the HP pool, the difference in those is massive. We're talking like 3,000 left for Vlad, maybe 8,000 left on that Ancient Tree Man, but he has continued to waver. That's the 3rd or 4th time he's wavered. At no point has he actually broken. Knights of the Black Grail are in there, and remember, they have that discouraged contact effect, which stacks with the terror and can make units run pretty easily. Forest Dragon coming in, they have so much DPS here, but the Knights of the Black Grail are still looking pretty healthy at the moment. Vlad is going to be incredibly hard to kill with that Von Karstein ring and the regen. Bounce bar is pretty much dead even. Big rear charge coming in, and they're actually going to prevent the Forest Dragon from taking off. He was one wing beat away from escaping into the skies. Not able to do it, and that means a ton of discouraged contact effects slamming into his butthole, which is not a very enjoyable experience. And in fact, it looks like it might have broken. It did break that Forest Dragon. But the Black Knights are getting blocked up, stuffed up by a few Eternal Guard and Glade Guard. Not able to give chase. The Forest Dragon will return. Vlad continues to fight it out like an absolute god. An absolute monster left over from the fall of Lamia. Bit of a relic, bit of a museum piece, but he still has that vigor, that speed, and that power in melee combat. Can the Ancient Tree Man and the Forest Dragon carry the day? Big soporific breath coming in, dealing a lot of damage to the vampire counts, but also not exactly helping the Tree Man. Did about 500 to 600 damage to him at least. He breaks. Vlad gives chase. The Knights of the Black Grail give chase. And with it, there is no way that Tree Man can come back to the fight, and there's no chance for the Asrai to win this game at this point. Vlad and the Knights of the Black Grail in combination will rout the dragon, and that is going to be your battle. Vlad did not get a massive amount of kills, but he left an indelible mark on that battlefield. His dueling with the Ancient Tree Man, with the Forest Dragon, his tankiness, his regen, his casting, his heals, his zombie summons, all of it together. So good. So damn good. That's why you bring him. You just bring him to tank it out, to duel stuff, and to be a beast everywhere, man. You don't even need to give him a mount. He's running around at 60 speed. It's very impressive to watch. Knights of the Black Grail were probably MVPs. It looks like they were full HP at the end of the game. They weren't. They just didn't lose any of their models. They were down past half, but when you talk about an elite unit that costs 2,500 gold, costs as much as a dragon, they need to kick some serious ass, and they certainly do. They're really powerful, and they certainly live up to their lofty reputation. I must say, Arrow's micro that game was pretty on point. Besides the Heralds of Talon, which, I mean, it still got almost 80 kills. It wasn't like they were horrible that game. I'd say his Archer micro, his ability to focus fire, and the light cav cycle charging, they're very squishy, but those AP cycle charges really wrecked a lot of my infantry, and I was a little bit disappointed with my Grave Guard, to be honest. They got shreked in that fight, but the support managed to carry me through the tough times, and it really came down to the Knights of the Black Grail, the various Reavers, and the Zombie Dragon putting in just enough work alongside Vlad to carry me to victory. Super close game, really enjoyable. Want to thank Arrow for joining me, and we've got some more Wood Elf and other faction games coming in on SFO Grimhammer 2 very soon. See you guys next time.